Welcome back to the Have You Seen a Podcast YouTube channel. My name is Mason Knight. This is our YouTube exclusive Indian cinema review. So if you guys like what you see here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Welcome back. Some really great news. Ask and you shall receive. We have been getting requests for this show for literally probably since the day it was released back in 2020. I will be reviewing episode by episode for some bonus content. Scam 1992. Thank you so much to the commenter who actually made me aware that I was trying to sign up for Sony Live for like literally a year and I could not sign up. It said I didn't have jurisdiction because I lived in the United States. And someone commented below and said, well, you can actually sign up for Sony Live, Invoot, Eurosnow, all these different streaming platforms through Sling. Now I'm going to be able to consistently watch these shows that I have not had access to in a couple years. So thank you to that commenter who made me aware of Sling. It is great. So here I am talking about Scam 1992. The first episode, Risk Se Ishq, which I believe is roughly translated to risk is the spice of life, which comes drastically into play in this very first episode. And I got to be honest here, this show reminds me a lot of Wolf of Wall Street. If you guys have ever seen that, it stars Leonardo DiCaprio. It is a really phenomenal film. I really enjoy it quite a bit. And this has so many elements of that. And the way this episode opens up is really cool because this is set in the 90s and they do kind of this narration of the rise of the Indian economy and the Bombay Stock Exchange in the 1990s. But all the footage looks and appears to be like as if I'm watching a TV in the 90s, you know, kind of that grainy quality in a very like boxed view. And even the cinematography as well and the camera work looks a lot of 1990s, so I really did enjoy that element of it. So this episode opens up, and it gets right to it right away. There's this guy, Sharad Bellary, and he's an employee of the State Bank of India, and he comes to the Times of India office to report about a fraud worth 500 crore. 500 crore, and this is back in 1992. So with the equivalent of 500 crore in 1992 is probably like 3,000 or 4,000 crore today. I mean, I'm guesstimating there, but that's probably about the rough outline of how many crore. So we're talking about US dollars. We're talking about tens of hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, this is a huge scam that obviously the Times of India, like, if you hear information like that, you're definitely going to report on it. And I guess this show is actually based on a book as well. I am an avid Audible listener, so if I can find this book, and it's obviously in English so I can understand it, I will probably end up getting this book because this first episode had me captivated. Let me tell you, from start to finish, from the time this guy came in, said there's a scam of 500 crore, to the very end of this episode, kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger, but we will get into that. So this guy, he reports to Sucheta and tells about this man, Hansal Mehta. Now, we don't really know who he is at this point. I'm sure everyone in India is very familiar with him, but I was not, so I just got that name, and then they say that he is behind this fraud. But what I like is as soon as they did that, they went back into like the 1970s. I believe it's roughly 1978. And we start to learn about the early years of Harshad. He lived kind of in this middle-class family with his wife, Jyoti, and his brother, Ashwin. But they're living in this little room. And they're kind of giving Ashwin a hard time. They're like, hey, when are you going to get married? And he's like, oh, well, what, Mom? Where am I supposed to have my wife? Sleep right next to you? You know, I thought that was kind of a funny joke. But they're kind of down on their luck. They're living in very small living quarters. And Harshad, he just wants more out of life. You can tell right away this character is very motivated. He's been doing odd jobs his whole life. You know, like there was a scene where he was like trying to trade through diamonds and the guy looks through his scope and he just shakes his head like, you're not going to get much. And he even brings that up too. He's like, hey, look, the diamond business isn't even doing well right now. Like, we need to do something else, Ashwin. And everyone's all scared. No one wants to take a risk. But then he's laying there with his wife and she goes, risk is the spice of life. And that kind of releases something in his brain, and he realizes it is my time. I need to do something different. So he started working at this share market, and he got a job as a jobber in the Bombay Stock Exchange. And he befriends this man called Bhushan Bhatt, who taught him some of the basics of the trading. And the first day on the job, I mean, I could only imagine walking in there your first day and being completely overwhelmed. And Harshad is overwhelmed, but it's kind of funny because he walks in and he's just standing there in the midst of this absolute chaos. People are yelling, shouting, kind of the same way a Wolf of Wall Street. All stock exchanges are just absolutely wild and chaotic. And he's just standing there and he's just grinning. And he goes, "What are you grinning about? This isn't a movie. You better make some sales if you want to make some money." But unfortunately for Harshad, he lost 2,000 rupees in the first day. And it was kind of teased that the boss wasn't happy about it and that he was going to fire him. And he goes, the biggest risk that you can take is not to take a risk on me. That's the one thing that I've learned from my one day in the Bombay Stock Exchange. And at that point, the boss was like, "Okay, I get it. This guy's he might be a little slick. I'm going to take a risk on him." And he does. And eventually, Harshad starts crushing it. He's starting to do this insider trading thing. Him and Ashwin are talking a little bit. And he's really trying to work on this insider trading. He starts going to like these union strikes. He even goes to the doctor and kind of gets him in, and for the laborers. But at the same time, Harshad's making money. And he's working this as a jobber for, I don't know how long. I would say like maybe a year, because that's what the show said, about a year. And he's crushing it. And at one point, he just says, "You know what? I'm done. I've learned everything that I need to learn. I'm going to become a broker myself. I'm going to open my own accounting firm." And that's exactly what he does. And him and Ashwin are still killing it. They're still doing all the insider trading that is associated with the Bombay Stock Exchange. And then Ashwin actually gets married. So Ashwin's finally married, so mom and dad can quit getting on his case. But before that happens, I got to talk about this scene because it was one of the funniest scenes. So the day Harshad and Ashwin quit, they take their parents and Harshad's wife as well, and they are out to dinner. And Pops is not happy about this at all. He seems absolutely confused. So they're sitting there in this nice fancy restaurant, and he's like, "I'm confused here. We're at this table, and we're celebrating you quitting your job, Harshad." And then Ashwin comes in. He's like, "Yeah, Pops, I actually quit my job too. And I swear to you, the old man almost had an aneurysm." He calls over the waiter, and he's like, "Hey, what do you guys have on this menu? Maybe some wisdom, maybe some guidance, maybe some common sense, because my sons have seemed to lost their collective minds." Ashwin starts getting upset about this. He almost says, "You know what, to hell with this. I'm leaving dinner." But Harshad calls him back and says, "Hey, everything's tip-top, Magoo. We're going to make money. We'll prove Pops wrong. Pops, just sit down, shut up, and enjoy this fancy meal. Do you want to go back to that one-bedroom house where we're all living in? Or do you enjoy this new lifestyle that we are providing?" And Pops inevitably orders some food. So I did like that scene. I thought that was pretty funny. Good writing, too. So anyway, Ashwin does get married, as I said before, and the family shifts to a much more comfortable life in a brand new apartment, and they start to really increase their profits. Harshad begins spreading more fake insider information, and it's like a game of telephone in this episode, where it's like you tell one person, or if you speak loud enough at the urinals, then someone else picks it up, and then 5 more jobbers tell 5 more jobbers, and then they're telling the brokers, and everyone's making moves, trying to make the money on the profits and the stocks. And Harshad actually crushes it, right? And you think, dang, okay, this is the ride of Harshad. Everything's good. This is how, he gets to this point of being able to scam 500 crore. No, not so fast. The very end of this episode, in 1982, the markets crash. And it's Black Friday. And due to the actions of BSE, the Bear Cartel, and Ajay Kadia, Harshad and his brother had to deal with a devastating loss of 10 lakh in one day. Now, 10 lakh, the equivalent of that is probably more like 80 or 100 lakh today, which is a mass amount of loss. And it appears that everything is over for them, that they have lost everything. And that's where the episode ends. But now that I kind of gave that summary and kind of going through the episode, Man, I really like this show. I understand now why so many of you commented for the last like 2 years, be like, please review Scam 1992, because I love The Wolf of Wall Street. It's one of my favorite films. Scorsese absolutely crushed with that. Leonardo DiCaprio was awesome. And this show is basically that, but the Bombay Stock Exchange. So yeah, it's really great. I cannot wait to watch episode 2 titled Cobra Killer. I will be watching that probably tomorrow. I'm going to try to get to about 4 or 5 episodes each week. So this will take approximately 2 weeks for me to get through. But man, I already want to watch episode 2. I'm not going to lie. I do have to go to work soon, so won't be able to. But really enjoyed this, guys. Thank you so much for recommending this. You guys can phone, as I said before, you guys can find this on Sony Live. Help us hit 10 million subscribers. You know what? Risk is like the spice of life, right? We're going to take a risk here. I'm going to say 10 million subscribers, guys. So be sure to smash that subscribe button, comment below, like this video, and let me know your thoughts on episode 1. What were the kind of the emotions you were feeling going in? Because at this part, it's not looking good for Arshad. 10 luck, a lot of money. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. Episode 2 coming soon. And until next time.